Today we will see some of the articles that is mentioned in the Indian Constitution. So some of the important articles. We are not going to discuss each and every articles in detail, but we will see some important articles of the Constitution. Because when Constitution came into existence, originally we had 395 articles, and now it has been increasing. So we will discuss some of the important articles. So Article 1 talks about India, the name and the territory of the Union. Like Article 1 talks about India as the Union of States. Then Article 3, it talks about the formation of new states and alteration of areas, boundaries, or names of existing states. Then Article 13, that is part of fundamental right. It talks about the laws that is inconsistent with or in derogation of the fundamental rights. So those laws that are inconsistent with the fundamental rights will be invalid. Then Article 14 talks about equality before law, that is part of the fundamental right to equality. Article 16, equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. Article 17, abolition of untouchability. Article 19, that is right to freedom, that is the protection of certain rights regarding the freedom of speech. Article 21, protection of life and personal liberty. Article 21A, right to elementary education. Article 25, freedom of religion. This is also one of the fundamental rights. So freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. Freedom of conscience means you are free to follow any faith or to reject it. You can be monotheist, polytheist, or atheist, and you have full right to profess, practice, and propagate any religion in India. So, Article 30 talks about the right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. Article 31C, savings of the laws giving effect to certain directive principles. Article 32, remedies for enforcement of fundamental rights, including writs. So, various writs are there like habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, certiorari. So, whenever there is enforcement of fundamental rights, then these writs come into effect. Article 38 talks about state to secure social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. It is one of the DPSP, so Directive Principle of State Policy. Article 40 talks about organization of village panchayats. Article 44 talks about uniform civil code for the citizens. These are all our Directive Principle of State Policy. Then Article 45, provision for early childhood care and education to children below the age of 6 years. 6 years. Okay. Then Article 46, promotion of education and economic interests of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other weaker sections. Article 50 talks about separation of judiciary from executive. And then 51, promotion of international peace and security. Till here we were discussing about DPSP from Article 38 to here. These all were DPSPs, that is Directive Principle of State Policies. Then 51A is the fundamental duties. In Article 72, we have the power of the President to grant pardons and to suspend, remit, or commute sentences in certain cases. So 72 basically talks about the presidential power to give pardons to those people who are actually suffering from the various kind of cases. Now 74 talks about the Council of Ministers to aid and advise the President. Article 78, duties of the Prime Minister as respects for furnishing of information to the President. So it is the duty of the Prime Minister to provide the details to the President whenever President seeks. So Article 110, definition of money bills. Then we have Article 112, that is annual financial statement, that is budget, union budget. 123, power of the president to promulgate ordinance during the recess of the parliament. So whenever parliament is not in session, it is the power of the president to promulgate ordinances, and these ordinances have equal values as bill or act. So 143, power of the president to consult Supreme Court. Okay. Then 155, appointment of governor. 161, power of governor to grant pardons and to suspend, remit, commute sentences in certain cases, similar as it has been provided under Article 72 for the president. So similar, 161 is for governor. Then 163, Council of Ministers to aid and advise the governor. 167, duties of Chief Minister with regard to the furnishing of information to governor. Similarly, we had seen like it is the duty of the Prime Minister here, Article 78, duty of the Prime Minister to furnish the information to the President. So in 167 also we have the same thing. Like in 78, it is for the PM to furnish the detail to the President, and in Article 167, it is for the Chief Minister to furnish the detail to the Governor. 169, abolition or creation of Legislative Council in a state. 200, so to give the assent to the bills by the Governor, including reservation for President. Then 213, power of the governor to promulgate ordinance during the recess of the state legislature. Similarly, we had seen in Article 123, that is the power of the president to promulgate ordinance when parliament is not in session. 226, power of high courts to issue certain writs. So it is the power of the high court to issue certain writs, but we have seen in Article 32, that is power of the Supreme Court to issue various kind of writs mentioned in the Constitution. 239A AA, special provisions with respect to Delhi. 249, power of Parliament to legislate with respect to a matter in the state list in the national interest. So it is the power of the Parliament to talk about a matter that is mentioned in the state list whenever there is a great need or when it is discussing about something in the national interest. 262, that is adjudication of dispute relating to the water of interstate river or river valley. So interstate water dispute, Article 262. Then 263, provision with respect to an interstate council. 265, taxes not to be imposed save by authority of law. 275, grants from the union to certain state. 280, deals with finance commission. 300, suits and proceedings. 300A, right to property, so those persons not to be deprived of property save by the authority of law. Earlier it was a fundamental right, but it has been repealed, and now right to property is a legal right. Then 311, dismissal, removal, or reduction in rank of persons employed in the civil capacities under the union or state. So, if a person is appointed as an officer under union and state government, it is right of the center to dismiss, remove, or to reduce the rank of the person for any misconduct or misdeeds. Article 312, All India Services. 315, Public Service Commission for the Union and for the State. Article 320, Functions of the Public Service Commission. Article 323A, Administrative Tribunals. Article 324, Superintendence, Direction and Control of the Elections to be vested in Election Commission. Article 330, reservation of seats for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in the House of the People. 335, claims of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes to the services and posts. 352, proclamation of national emergency. 356, that is provision in the case of the failure of the constitutional machinery in the state, that is called president rule. So whenever, it is also called state emergency. So whenever a state is not functioning in accordance with the center, president rule can be imposed. Or whenever there is a failure of the constitutional machinery in a state, then president rule can be imposed. So Article 360 talks about the financial emergency. 365, effect of failure to comply with or to give effect to the direction given by the union, that is also called president rule. So we will see here the difference between the 356 article and 365. So first, whenever there is a failure of constitutional machinery in the state, 356 is imposed. But when a state is unable to follow or comply with or to give effect to any directions given by the union, then 365 comes into effect. So failure of constitutional machinery, 356, and when a state is not complying the order of the union or the directions given by the union, then 365 is there. 368, power of the parliament to amend the constitution and procedure, therefore. So 368 talks about amendment of constitution. 370, that is temporary provision with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, however it has been repealed recently. So this was all about the important articles mentioned in the constitution. I hope it will help you guys for the upcoming examinations. Thanks a lot.